I'm going to show you something today that I actually have never shown anyone before. And if anyone, Rob, maybe, but other than that, nobody. So here we go. I'm going to admit something to you that I've actually probably never really admitted in public, but I'm a professional quitter, or at least I was. And I don't mean that lightly, and I'm not saying it for like shock value or to grab your attention or anything like that. I mean, I was a professional quitter. One point in time, I walked around with my phone for like several weeks, and every time another job that I had came to mind, I'd go put it in the notes in my phone, because I honestly have had so many I cannot even remember them all. So I'd have to wait for it to hit me driving in the car or something like that. Like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot I worked there, whatever. And so by the time I was done with it, I had made a list of, I'm embarrassed to say this, but I'm going to, of 32 jobs. Mind you, I made this list when I was in my early 40s, if not my late 30s. It's been a while since I made the list because I've been working on this, right? And so I made the list just to kind of see where it was, because I started thinking one day, I'm like, dang, I've done a lot of jobs, which, by the way, let's fast forward for a minute and say many of those jobs have served me so well in what I do now. But I just want you to know, a lot of you hear me talk about mindset and things like that, where we're always talking about, getting through and this and that and the other. I need you to understand that that has been a process for me that I've worked on over the last 10 years, and how this all came out. And I want you get this. So there's that. There's my list of probably, so most of those jobs, and you think I quit when I left, maybe 4 of those came after I've had Chloe. So really, most of those jobs were before 30. So think about that. 32 jobs before the age of 30. Huh. Okay, so I'm a professional quitter. And then I realized after a while that wasn't going to work for me. Actually, I just quit and stayed home with Chloe for a while and started some other things. But I knew that long term in life that wasn't going to work for me. And any of you who I clinically have been diagnosed with ADHD, and I will tell you that is where you know that you are, right? So a lot of people will say they have ADHD. They're like, oh, because they can't keep their attention here and there. When your inability to stay somewhere affects your life to that degree that you might have 32 jobs before you're 30, you might actually have ADHD. So there's something right there. But I never want to use that as an excuse. So I'm moving on from that, right? So I'm going to get tools and things like that is what I'm thinking. I'm going to get tools and I'm going to learn mindset to move myself out of this. And I did pretty good. So then I started a lot of things, right? And so I would start projects and knowing I'm finishing this project and know I'm finishing this project. And I did things like big things. I love to write. And so let me show you something. This folder right here, this is basically like 85% of a Bible study that I wrote on the book of Nehemiah. I wrote this back when I was raising little kids, and I wrote the entire thing based around family and raising children and how, it was so interesting to be in the book of Nehemiah and have gates and things like that I could work with, and how we could use, like small things, like little things that you do in your life and in your family can make big change. And it's kind of like, big gates swing on small hinges, and it's just everything flowed. It was so good. And I'm telling you, there's good stuff in here, but I never finished it. Right? Then, actually, that was this one. This is the Nehemiah study. This one was, for a few years, I actually scrapbooked for other people. Believe it or not, I scrapbooked for other people to the tune of, I made several $1,000s a month, and I mean that, just scrapbooking for other people. Like, I started off just doing pages here and there for some people, and then, literally, I had people paying me what would have paid my rent for the month monthly to make their scrapbooks for them. And I had several of those clients, and that was great because I could keep just a few clients and work personally with them, but it was enough to make a big difference in my life. And I thought, I can help other women do this, right? Because there's so many of them, and there were so many at the time doing it and wasting their time with, clients who weren't paying them and things like that. And I'm like, I could teach them how to do this and actually make some money at it. So I made this. I still think about my friend Corey because, so I called it I Scrap for You University. There's literally this is the workbook. By the way, how many people did this? 0. Why? Because I never put it out in the world, right? It's finished. And you know what is something? I had to make the scrap part pink because my friend Corey, when I very first, and this might be backwards to you, I can't remember, when he said, I told him at the beginning, I remember this, so it's been years ago, it's 20 something years ago. And I said, I named it I Scrap for You. And he said, the minute I looked at it, I saw is crap for you. Well, that's pretty much what it was because I never let it get anywhere, right? And so I knew that approach was not going to work for me. This shirt was not on accident, right? So then I just started doing small things. I'm like, gosh, Jen, you got to do something and finish it. You're just going to be on this treadmill of hating yourself and not putting things out there. And I mean, what is going on with someone who does this much work, this much finished work, and doesn't put it out there? Fear, for one. I've dealt with that clearly. And not only on that level. I'm still dealing with it in some other levels. But so then, years go by and I start writing another book, and it's a little book and it's no big deal, right? It's not that big a deal, but it became a big deal to me. It became a big deal to me just to finish it. And some of you have seen it. This little book right here. It's a little book right here. I wrote this book on clean eating because sometimes I feel like I have a different approach to nutrition in that it's a whole body experience, mind, body, spirit. And so I've spent the first few bits of this book writing about food, and then I spent the whole last chapter. It's basically a 4-week breakdown. And I'm not trying to sell you this book. That's not what this is about. What I wanted to show you was this book, at the end of the day, was 100% an exercise for me to finish something. And I had friends that helped me finish it. Sandy and Fiona helped me finish this and edit it for me and get me over that hurdle. Luckily, along the way, I had another friend, the same friend I was talking about a minute ago, taught me how to do graphic design. So I did the cover myself, things like that. So I got this thing finished, all right? And then that was pretty much it. That was my only goal. I thought, maybe I'll sell a few at the gym, if that, whatever. This is my last copy. It was on Amazon. I'm not even sure it's on Amazon anymore because, I just left it there. Again, I'll promise you, that's what I'm telling you. I got my own stuff that I'm trying to level up on and dealing with that and getting over that hurdle. And that is one thing. Starting marathons, finishing the marathon, right? And so I started with things like that. So I got to finish my book. And man, let me tell you, I have been talking to my group, the people that hear me a lot, so much lately about being proud of yourself. When you finish something like this, after all of the, what I would call failures, I was calling them failures to myself. You may not, but whatever. Was what I was calling it, right? All the failures, those 32 jobs, these 2 literally full, one's a full program and one's a full Bible study, pretty much written. This had to happen. This had to work for me, and I had to finish it. I had to prove to myself that I could. And in the meantime, other things happen, right? Started training for a half marathon. Make that happen. I had to have something that had a finish line, that had an end to it. I think that's why challenges work so well in the fitness setting because people go, okay, I'm going to start and I know the end. This is the date. I know this is when I can start. But that is also the biggest trap for them is that there is an end date, and health is something we need to do long term. So here's the thing. Most people that start a challenge, when they don't even finish the challenge. So what I want to ask you is this: no matter where you are, if you have fallen off, you haven't graced the door of zone since the very beginning, or you haven't done a workout at all anywhere, you haven't eaten the way you've wanted to, I want to ask you, you know what? You don't have to do it perfectly. You don't have to have an amazing finished product for something to be working underneath inside of you that says, not this time. Not this time. This time I finish. So I'm going to ask you, finish this race, okay? I don't care where you started. I don't care how many trips you've had in the meantime. I don't care how many vacations. Do it. Just finish. You started, and that's what I consider a finish. So a finish is showing up. It's just showing up again when you've missed it. And that takes more courage than just showing up day to day a lot of times, right? So I just wanted to put that out there. I wanted to put myself out there and show you, like, this has been a muscle that I've flexed over years and years. And then finally have some sort of mindset that I can proudly look in the mirror and go, you know what? I may be a lot of things. And I don't finish everything I start because I'm quite the idea fairy sometimes. But at the same time, I'm also not a quitter. I'm just not a quitter. And I know that because I've proved it to myself now. And so what is the thing? I'm hoping it's this challenge. I'm hoping that it's what you're doing right now. I'm hoping that you will finish strong, and no matter what, it's strong of mind, right? It doesn't have to be strong of body. Maybe you missed workouts. Maybe you missed the nutrition part. Maybe whatever. But if you still just finish, you will finish strong of mind. And then you know what? Next time, you're going to do it. Next time, you're going to do it, right? Let's do it. Finish strong.